You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And tonight, Robbie Ray returned to form as he led the Giants to a 4-1 win over the Chicago White Sox. Ray pitched a season-high 6.2 innings and struck out 9, while the White Sox struck out 9 White Sox in the process, also tied for a season high. Combine that with a good enough day at the dish for the offense and a dominant 9th inning from Ryan Walker, and the Giants go home happy with their 3rd win in a row. We will break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you tuning in, and make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a free 3-week trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. In this one, Robbie Ray from the jump looked like he had his stuff together in a way that he absolutely did not in his last inning. Remember, his last time out, he did not get out of the first inning. So today he comes out right away, records 2 strikeouts in that first inning, and it looked like he was hitting the spots. But for the Giants also, they come out and another pitcher that I've never heard of strikes out the side to start the game for the Giants. Not an ideal start to the game, but in the bottom of the second, the Giants come back and do get on the board. Chapman singles to start it off. Then Mike Yastrzemski singles on a ball that bounced off the glove of the second baseman, but had a ton of topspin and kicked into the outfield. They ruled it a single on the play. I'm not sure if they ended up changing that one to an error later on, but in the moment, they ruled it a single. Chapman gets to third on the play. Tyro nearly grounds into a double play on a ground ball to third. Yaz out at second, but Tyro beats it out down the line, earns himself an RBI, and the Giants lead 1-0. And man, we got another productive out with less than 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. I mean, this is 2 days in a row that this has happened. Granted, it's against the Chicago White Sox, so we'll see if the Giants can continue to do this against winning teams in the month of September. We'll see, because they have not been super great at that so far this year. Grant McCray grounded out to end the inning, and the threat ended right there. Then, in the top of the third, the White Sox responded after Fletcher led off with a single. Sosa wraps one off the left field wall. Ramos reels it in perfectly and gets a great throw off to Tyler Fitzgerald. Super quick out of the glove. Fits a perfect relay throw to the plate, and Casali lays down the tag. The runner is called out at home on the play, and it is an amazing, beautiful thing when you have an absolutely perfectly executed relay play from deep in the outfield all the way to home plate, but they overturned it on review. The run ends up being safe. And man, it was so close. And the runner was clearly safe upon review. But man, oh man, was that a fun relay. I love good defense in baseball games. And that was, a great defensive play by everybody involved, by Ramos, the way that he fielded it off the wall. Perfect positioning. And Fitzgerald, a great relay. Casali, great job laying down the tag, but just a hair too late. That run scores, ties it up at 1 run apiece. But then in the bottom of the third, Giants got another run. Casali reaches on error by Vargas at third base as he dropped the ball on the exchange. Fitz then singles the opposite way, showed off the bat control, and I really liked this at bat. I thought that this was a good thing to note for Tyler Fitzgerald, because he's a guy who does most of his damage on the inside half of the plate and out over the middle of the plate. He struggles with pitches away at times, and he struggles going the other direction. Big time pole hitter. We've talked about this on the show before, but today Fitz displays some excellent bat control after he was attacked away in his first at bat, constantly ended up being a strikeout. Second at bat, he's same plan of attack for the White Sox. So he adjusts and goes with just slapping a ground ball single over into right field. A good piece of hitting by Tyler Fitzgerald, something that shows that he's maturing as a hitter as well as he displayed in the field today. A great relay play by him at shortstop. The middle infielder who Fields, that relay, is basically the maestro of the whole thing. So Fitz doing a great job in the field today, doing a great job at the dish today, and that was a nice at bat. Lamont Wade Jr. comes up next and draws a walk to load the bases for the Giants, and Elliot Ramos then comes up and he gets a 3-1 slider that hangs up in the zone, and he misses it, man. And you know that he wanted that one back, but he ends up taking ball 4 in that at bat anyways. In that walk results in a run for the Giants, and it was a good eye on that last ball that he took. It was a slider that started in the zone and tailed outside of it. So hard pitch to lay off on a full count, but Ramos did it and earned himself an RBI with that walk. So the Giants then with that RBI took the lead 2-1. And then up comes Michael Conforto swinging at the first pitch and pops one out to the catcher in foul ground for the first out of the inning. And then up comes Matt Chapman to ground into a double play to end the inning. So the Giants go very quickly from looking like they could maybe have back-to-back games with nice offensive rallies and crooked numbers to it being spoiled by a pop out to the catcher and a ground ball into a double play. That is the definition of this Giants offense this season. That's just how it's gone. Rallies are few and far between, even against teams like the Chicago White Sox. The Giants still struggle in these situations. They did again tonight, even though the offense was ultimately good enough for them to get the win. Robbie Ray was really the story. He was rolling the whole night. In the top of the fourth, he kept rolling. He was pitching pretty well and then ran into Andrew Vaughn. And this was a fun at bat. It was a 10-pitch at bat in the top of the fourth with 5 foul balls. Andrew Vaughn was one of the, he's one of the, he's not having the best season. No one really is for the Chicago White Sox, but he for a while was a pretty young, exciting prospect, or pretty exciting young prospect out of Cal. Played up in Maria Carrillo for, I believe he played at Maria Carrillo, or up in the North Bay near Forestville area. He was always a very highly touted prospect, won the Golden Spikes in college, awarded to the best college baseball player. So this guy, even if you aren't up to speed on your White Sox prospects, this guy is a pretty solid ball player, especially a pretty solid guy at the dish. And Robbie Ray just beat him after 10 pitches in the at-bat. And the thing that I thought was interesting about this was he finished him off with the knuckle curve, a pitch that he hasn't been throwing a lot lately because it has been not a very effective pitch for him. He's been getting shelled with it lately. That was one of the very few he threw all night long, but threw it in the 10th pitch of the at-bat and got the strikeout. Won the duel versus Andrew Vaughn in that inning. Then to end that inning, Thairo Estrada makes a great play, sliding to his left, pops up to make the throw over to first base to end the inning. And that's now 2 days back from the injured list for Thairo Estrada, and 2 games with nice sliding plays in the field, ranging over to his left. He also beat out that ground ball that could have been a double play, getting down the line to earn the Giants an RBI on that play. He looks pretty healthy, man. And when Thairo looks healthy, he looks like a different dude. And that leads me to believe that he was just, he should have been out a long time ago, the way that this guy was playing. He'll battle through some injuries. He's a tough dude, but sometimes he's battling through some stuff that he should probably take a break from, because the way he was slumping earlier this year, he just looks entirely different right now than he did at any point in the season, except for maybe at the very beginning of the season when he's had a nice start. Thairo looks to be a little bit back to his former self, but obviously still needs some work at the dish. He did have a okay day at the plate today, recorded a hit, got an RBI, and did have 1 strikeout as well in his 4 plate appearances. So Thairo Estrada working his way back, but makes a great play in the field for the Giants. And as I just said, I love me some nice defensive baseball. Then in the bottom of the 5th, the Giants get another run. Curt Casali singles. Nice game for Casali at the dish tonight. He was kind of in the middle of a couple different things, scored 2 different runs, drew a walk and a hit. So Curt Casali was, doing his thing up at the dish. He's not going to set the world on fire as a hitter, but he is doing a lot better than our guy, Patrick Bailey, who, by the way, is now on the injured list with an oblique. The Giants have not announced if it's the 10-day or the 60-day. So, if you were listening to the broadcast tonight, you heard Mike Krukow saying, I don't really think an oblique is a 10-day injury list kind of thing. Neither do I. I have never heard of anyone who had an oblique issue returning quickly. Those are things that linger, kind of like hamstrings. I don't know if we're going to see Pat Bailey again this season. We might get him back towards the end. But this might have been the end of Patrick Bailey's season. This might have marked it right here today. Jackson Reitz is up from AAA. So we'll see a lot of Curt Casali going forward. And he had a nice game at the dish tonight. He when he's going back up the middle, he's pretty good at slapping those singles up there. And I just want him to do that every single time. That's what I want Curt Casali to look to do, is draw a walk or hit a single back up the middle. I don't need anything else from him at the dish. Lamont Wade Jr. walks after that single, and then Elliot Ramos singles on a line drive to center, scores Curt Casali, Lamont Wade Jr. to second. And this at bat, this slap single to center, I loved this at bat from Ramos because it was on a fastball that was middle, up and away. And I mean, a pitch he's really struggled with it, with the high fastball. And he did a great job of just doing what he could with it, just slapping it, getting the arms extended, getting the barrel on the ball, and just shooting it right back up the middle. He didn't try to do too much with it. And I think he was just trying to, his eyes would get all big with those high fastballs, those beach ball size looking fastballs coming in. And he just try and lift one over the fence. You can't always do that in those situations unless you are ready for it. This time, his plan of attack was just make solid contact and get a single. And that is how this guy can learn to hit those pitches. Great job by Ramos starting to adjust to that pitch. That is a big deal, because if this is something that this guy can learn to do, it covers up the one major hole he has in his swing at the dish. Great piece of hitting by Elliot Ramos, and I hope that this is an adjustment that sticks. This is something I've been watching and waiting for a long time now for him, and this is a good moment for him. Hopefully he can build on this one, gets an RBI with the single. Giants lead 3-1. Then in comes Mark Canha, who pinch hits for Michael Conforto, who is batting fourth tonight. And man, oh man, I thought we left pinch hitting for the cleanup hitter in the past with the Gabe Kapler regime. I hate this move. Do not bat a guy fourth if you feel like you got to sub him out at any point in the game. That guy probably shouldn't be batting cleanup. Also, Conforto has been kind of hot lately. I mean, I'm not Michael Conforto's biggest fan, but he's been having some save for this, that earlier in the game when he popped out to the catcher in foul ground. He's been having some pretty decent games lately. He's been hitting a lot of doubles. He's not really that bad against, his splits aren't that bad. He's pretty good in the dish again, no matter lefties, righties in these situations. And I mean, or at least he has been lately. He's not my favorite guy, as I have said many times. I've not made any, indication that I think Michael Conforto is my favorite Giant, and I don't expect him to be a part of the outfield for the future, but I, for the life of me, did not understand this move, and it was pretty inconsequential at the end of the day, but man, it just frustrates me. Like, can we please just have the first 5 batters, or at least like 3-4, not change throughout the game unless they have to? I mean, can we at least be good enough to have that in the batting lineup? Like, that would really make me feel a whole lot better about this Giants team. I really hate the whole platoon system, and I get it. The White Sox changed pitchers. The Giants tried to match with getting Canha up there. It didn't really work out either way. As I said, inconsequential. Canha flies out to deep right center field. Both runners advance. Chapman is intentionally walked, but then Yaz grounds out to end the inning with the bases loaded with runners at second and third, not loaded, excuse me. And that was, again, another bad at bat with runners in scoring position. Mike Yastrzemski leaves a lot to be desired at the dish as well. I do like Yastrzemski's defense and his, I mean, I say this kind of tongue in cheek. I was going to say his ability to do the little things well, like base running and sometimes bunting. But you guys remember that pop out bunt that he had the other day. So maybe, I like Mike Yastrzemski's defense, and we can just leave it at that. It leaves a lot to be desired, as does Michael Conforto. As I've said before, I don't expect either one of these guys to be a part of the Giants outfield next season. We'll see how that plays out in the offseason, but I really expected at this point to be Jung-Hoo Lee, Grant McCray, and Elliot Ramos. Those three together seem really, really, really nice in my mind. If you're watching the broadcast tonight, you heard Dave Fleming talking about that very thing. I mean, he compared it to the Diamondback situation where they just have a bunch of center fielders playing. They have center fielders at every outfield position, and the Giants could have a similar situation next year with Ramos in left, Jung-Hoo Lee in center, and Grant McRae in right field. I don't envision a lot of fly balls dropping in that outfield. That's a whole lot of speed. I mean, obviously, if Ramos is your worst outfielder, that's a pretty dang good situation for the Giants to be in, at least defensively. So hopefully that is what the makeup looks like next year. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I want to see. But Robbie Ray, as I said, kept rolling. Top of the sixth was probably his most dominant inning of the night. A 6-pitch inning. All of them were strikes, even gets a strikeout to end that inning. And that low pitch inning allows him to come out for the 7th. It's the first time that he has pitched this deep in a game all season long. Strikes out the first batter of the 7th inning. Then after a couple at-bats drag on, Sheets was at bat for a while, and I think that was like a 6-ish pitch at bat. Ends up fighting off a good pitch low and away that was paint on the outside corner, and found a hole on the right side of the infield for a single. Then Lee, his at bat drags on for a while, but Ray finishes him off with a strikeout, his 9th of the game. But it was Robbie Ray's final batter that he would face. Finished the day 6.2 innings pitched, 3 runs, 1 hit, or no, three hits, 1 run, excuse my dyslexia, 0 walks, 9 strikeouts, 96 pitches for Robbie Ray. He had 3 groundouts and 4 flyouts. A great game from him. It's the deepest he's pitched in a game this season. The second most pitches he's thrown in a single game, also ties his season high for strikeouts. And one of the really important key things in this one was it was his first game this season without a walk. His control tonight was dominant. Just his second game this season also without giving up a home run. Best overall outing of the year for Robbie Ray. Not even close. This was, I mean, like Cy Young type Robbie Ray performance that we saw from him in 2022 when he won the award. So this is a great rebound game from him for a guy who was putrid in his last outing, couldn't get out of the first inning. This is a phenomenal rebound for Robbie Ray. Sean Jelly came in to get the final out of the inning, and that was all the work that he did. The Giants added a run in the bottom of the 7th after Ramos walked and Canna walked. Matt Chapman grounded into a double play, but Ramos got to third on the play. Mike Yastrzemski knocked a double and scored. Ramos went down and got a good pitch that he pulled down the first baseline. Not really a pitch I think you'd be looking to swing at with a 2-0 count, but it worked out. Yeah, Mike Yastrzemski ends up on second base, and the Giants end up with a 4-1 lead. Tyler Rogers comes in for a clean inning. He's had a lot of clean innings this month. Ryan Walker then comes in the 9th and has probably the most dominant inning I've seen him have of this season. Comes in for the save, strikes out the first batter, strikes out the second batter on just 3 pitches, and then strikes out the third batter on just 3 pitches. Just overpowering stuff from Ryan Walker in the 9th inning in this one. And that's a welcome sight to see with the issues that the Giants have had in that spot this season. And he also had a pretty rocky outing in his last game out. So overall, very, very solid performance for the Giants today as they win 4-1 over the Chicago White Sox. I want to break down Robbie Ray's game a little bit more. He was the main story of the day. Robbie Ray rebound game. Let's get into it on the other side. Got to take a quick break here on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. This is an outstanding deal. Jump on it right now. I mean, and it's not even like you're just giving the $5 away. You can win money from this at the same time. I mean, you can get paid to get 3 free weeks of NFL Sunday Ticket. How cool is that? Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. And is there really any other way to watch football? It's right around the corner. You got to get yourself set up for this if you aren't already. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. And I should also mention, since we're just talking about the NFL season and with the FanDuel promotion we got going on right now, I should mention we got Locked On 49ers postcast coming at you live this weekend following the 49ers final preseason matchup. Join me live as we go break down every single game this year on the Locked On 49ers postcast. So if you already follow the Locked On 49ers podcast account, that's phenomenal, but make sure you're also following us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube account so you can get the video version too. I mean, why wouldn't you want the video version? If you guys have noticed that we've got this little mood lighting thing going on tonight, we had it going on yesterday as well. I did just move and I need to get my lighting situation fixed. So this is temporary. I'm not always going to be coming at you, with a smooth, sensual voice, doing my best Gabe Kapler impression. We're not going to be doing that for the rest of the Giants season. Don't worry. We will fix the lighting in here. But anyways, back to this Giants game. They won 4-1 over the Chicago White Sox, and Robbie Ray, man, was a huge factor in this one. Robbie Ray had everything going, but the two biggest things that he did today, did not give up a home run and did not walk anybody. And this is huge for a guy who has a pretty high walk rate. He walks guys about 13% of the time. So it's a good thing when he isn't walking guys out there. He's a high strikeout guy, but he will issue some walks in pursuit of those strikeouts. So Robbie Ray today does a great job limiting both of those things. And that was not something that he was able to limit in his last time out. As I said, he did not escape the first inning. He allowed 5 runs and only one hit though. Michael Harris grand slam, walked 3 and hit 2 through 39 pitches and recorded 2 outs, but both strikeouts in Robbie Ray fashion before he exited from that game. Didn't get out of the first inning. So as I just said, in his last outing, he gave up all those 5 runs. He only gave up 1 hit. And it was a home run. So that is Robbie Ray's big glaring issue as a pitcher is he gives a lot of free 90s. It's really hard to overcome those, but he is good enough in some situations to get those strikeouts. In his last outing, he absolutely was not. He gave up a grand salami in the first inning. I mean, hit some guys. He clearly did not have it. But today, he did. I mean, dominant display by Robbie Ray. His most dominant game of the season. He was on fire tonight, and he was doing it with, a lot of different, mainly the fastball, but he did it a little bit with the knuckle curve today. A pitch that he hasn't thrown a lot lately, threw it 7 times, didn't get hit at all, which was pretty good for him because when it does get hit, it gets hammered. He has had a lot of trouble with that pitch as of late. This season, batters are 6 for 17 on that pitch. It's 74 pitches total is how many times he's thrown it. He's allowed a double and 2 homers this season. Opponents slugging 765 off of that pitch. So not his best pitch. I mean, opponent batting average is very high on that one. It's up around 353. So, it was a tough pitch for him to get over the plate for a lot of the season, but today actually generated a strikeout with it in a 10-pitch at bat where he pulled the string with that knuckle curve. And I thought that was a really good sign that this guy's able to use all of it. Well, more than just 2 pitches. He's not really using everything that we've seen him throw in his career, but when he's able to mix something else in besides just that 4-seamer and the slider, he is a lot more effective. And though he didn't throw the knuckle curve that much today, only threw it 7 times, it's still, to every batter who saw one of those, they're going to keep that in the back of their mind as something that they got to look for. And it just adds another thing that you got to do while you're up at the dish, facing a guy who's got great strikeout stuff. Robbie Ray did a good job today mixing and matching those things. He still gave up a pretty hard average exit velocity, 87.8 miles an hour on the average exit velocity today, which tracks pretty right in line with his average exit velocity of 86.6 miles an hour that he's had on the season. So he didn't get hit particularly harder today or less hard today than other days, still gave up some hard contact. It was just the way that he was able to completely avoid bats pretty much all together. The White Sox only had 3 hits in this one in the entire game. The bullpen for the Giants, phenomenal game, by the way. Only 2 1/3 innings pitched, but gave up 0 walks, 0 hits, and the 3 Ryan Walker strikeouts. Ryan Walker records his 2nd save of the season, and the Giants go home happy, riding now a 3-game win streak. They are at 65 and 63. So the Giants started today I mean, they were 3.5 back. So, I mean, the win is good, but you still got some ground to make up. And I mean, you're looking up at the Mets, but the Mets did lose today. And I mean, you're still looking up at, of course, the Braves is who you're really trying to catch out there in that third wild card spot. Still looking up at them as well. They won today 3-1 over the Phillies. If you were thinking maybe the Phillies, who are one of the best teams in baseball, might be able to slow down this Braves team, you were wrong. And I mean, all these teams that are above the Giants, save for the Mets in this wild card race, are all riding pretty hot stretches. I mean, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, both 7-3 in their last 10. The Braves 6-4 in their last 10 before the win tonight. The Giants just 5-5, but they do get the win today over the Chicago White Sox. And man, I'm gonna need these Giants to win tomorrow too, because this White Sox team is, I mean, garbage, hot garbage. I feel like almost bad for talking up all these Giants statistics that they had in this game and yesterday's game, because the White Sox have lost 97 games this year, and it's August. This is one of the most putrid baseball teams I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I'm 31. I'm not old. Maybe I am old, depending on who you are watching this show. But I mean, I've seen enough baseball to have seen some pretty bad teams. And this White Sox team, I mean, this is one of the all-time worst that I have ever seen. Thankfully, the Giants get them at a time in the season when they really need to get some wins. So the Giants doing just what they can do: play who's in front of you, win games that are in front of you. They're playing the White Sox now. They're beating them. So they got one more against the White Sox. I really want to see them win this game before the schedule gets a lot tougher. I say this on like every single show, because the schedule does get a lot tougher. And guess what? The Giants, when they're playing teams that are over 500, are 27-38 this season. So Giants really have some work to do. I mean, they're still trying to climb this ladder, but someone else has got to start losing. If the Braves, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres keep winning, the Giants are going to be out on the outside looking in. You got to start looking at the loss column more than just the games back in total. And right now, you can't make up losses. You know what I mean? You can make up wins, but you can't make up losses. And right now, the Giants have 5 more losses than the Atlanta Braves. That puts them in a tough position. The Mets only have 2 more losses than the Braves. So the Mets, I think, are in a little bit better position despite the Giants gaining a game on them. I mean, I think the Mets have a little bit wider of a margin over the Giants than it looks like, just because of their 3-game lead in that loss column over the Giants. So the playoffs, I guess, are still in the picture. We'll see how much longer after this White Sox series the Giants stay in this playoff picture. We got to take a quick break here on the Locked On Giants postcast. On the other side, we'll wrap up the show, put a bow on this thing, and wrap up some last-minute notes from this game. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections for a chance to win 100 times your money. With the finals over, the hoops action doesn't stop on PrizePicks. Women's basketball is still heating up, with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make big names for themselves alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and A'ja Wilson. You could win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. If you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering select players' stat projections on Tuesdays to helping your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today the Giants win over the White Sox 4-1, and it was a great day by Robbie Ray, a good enough day by the Giants offense, who was kind of given some help by this White Sox pitching staff. I mean, they literally walked in a run, so I mean, the White Sox really helping the Giants out here, getting them some wins in the dog days of summer, helping them limp through this month of August before they have to play the big dogs on the schedule. And the Giants schedule gets much, much, much tougher coming up. The month of August is wasn't too hard for them, but the month of September, basically every single team that they play is in playoff contention. I mean, you play the Marlins on the very first day of the month. It's the last game of a series, so you get one game in the month of September against the Marlins. And then you have the Cardinals, who have not been playing great lately, but they are still hanging around that playoff picture. Cardinals just 3-7 in their last 10, however, so they have not been playing their best baseball as of late. Still some time for them to turn it around and keep hanging around this NL West or NL wildcard race for that last third and final spot. But today, huge rebound game for Robbie Ray. Couple of nice at-bats for Tyler Fitzgerald and Elliot Ramos. I really like the way that they both adjusted to the holes in their swings and be able to slap some singles in some key moments that, they otherwise were striking out on those pitches, swinging through them. And tonight they did a great job of doing something with those pitches, not trying to do too much, but just doing what you can with it. Both of them slapping some singles. Ramos with that high fastball that was high and away, and Fitzgerald with a pitch that was away, something that he struggles with a lot, being a guy who loves to pull the ball on those inside pitches. So both guys, I think, deserve some recognition for that. Tyler Rogers also, man. Tyler Rogers has been pitching really, really, really well lately. I mean, another scoreless inning for him tonight. He has his 26 holds, now 27 holds are the third most in the National League. So he's got a lot of action. 63 appearances, or now 64 appearances. Leads the major leagues. Hasn't allowed a run in his last 10 games, all in the month of August. So he's been great. He's been really, really, really great. And 32 appearances at Oracle this year, now 33. But coming into this one, he had 32. And in those 32, he only allowed 3 runs in 30 innings. That's a sub-1 ERA with 25 strikeouts. This guy gets a lot of flack from the fan base because he doesn't throw hard and he's got a funky delivery. And I get it, man. You don't want to see this soft-throwing guy late in games, but he's effective. He's effective. And I think that 8th inning is the perfect role for him. And it's so hard to see the two different looks that you go from seeing Tyler Rogers to seeing a Ryan Walker who's throwing the heat, the big bendy, or the big slider, the big wipeout slider, and Rogers up there just throwing underhand frisbees. So good combination in the 1-2 punch that you have at the back end of the bullpen. And also, I mean, we said it earlier, but Ryan Walker, the most dominant inning of his season, maybe of his career, man. I mean, both of the final batters he faced went 1-2-3 strikeout. I mean, the first batter that he faced saw 5 pitches. He managed to foul one of them off. One of them was called a ball that was a clearly not a ball. So really, Ryan Walker shouldn't have thrown any balls tonight. He only threw one, but it was, if you pulled up the strike zone, it is clearly a strike, well over the plate, and definitely not too low. So great location from Ryan Walker tonight. Dominant outing, great stuff from him as usual. The slider and the sinker were both really moving up there for him, and one of the most dominant innings of his career. Definitely one of the most dominant innings of the season, maybe the single most dominant of either. That's all the time we got for you guys today here on the Locked On Giants Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Tomorrow, Giants take on the White Sox in a day game out at Oracle Park as they wrap up this series. We'll come to you live right afterwards, as we always do. Till then, we'll see you next time. Peace.